Have you ever time traveled?
Yes, I have time traveled.
In dreams.
In dreams, you've time traveled.
Yeah.
Back in the year 2000, an enigmatic man showed up on the internet named John Titor, claiming to have come from the year 2036 in the future. In a departure from other people who claimed to come from the future, Titor revealed a lot about what has happened in the future, including shocking descriptions of life in 2036 and terrifying predictions of what will shake the whole world before 2036.
We were told that you cannot be two places at the same time. That's just common sense, right? Well, we lied to you.
Titor suddenly vanished, and we never heard from him again until he made a second sudden appearance. What terrifying message is Titor bringing this time? What has he been up to since he left, and why has he returned? Keep watching this video to find the answers to all these questions and more. The internet had never been as active when a strange person surfaced online in the year 2000. What shocked netizens was not that this person existed, but that he claimed to have come from the future. He even gave the precise year that he came from, 2036. Many people had claimed to be time travelers from either the past or the future before John Titor. However, few gained popularity like Titor did. Titor made no attempt to hide himself or his actions. In fact, he did everything short of making a physical appearance. Titor appeared on the time travel forum where he didn't just limit himself to occasional comments or odd posts. He actually detailed what his life looked like as a time traveler, including the technologies he used to hop between different timelines. This time traveler claimed he was, or is, a soldier, an American soldier based in Tampa, Florida. He is a member of the 177th Temporal Recon Unit. The unit exists to facilitate returning to the past to pick up specific items that are needed in 2036. And why did he return to the year 2000? He was sent to retrieve a particular thing, an IBM 5100 computer. In fact, the year 2000 was just a stopover, as he had actually journeyed to the year 1975. Titor had to go back to the Rochester of 1975 in Minnesota, where he would pick up what has been claimed to be the first portable computer. Titor said he got this particular mission because his grandfather was a member of the team that built the machine. But why would there be a need for an IBM 5100 computer in 2036, a time when there would even be better technologies than the cutting edge that we possess now? And why that model in particular? Titor didn't hide this. He said the purpose was to debug legacy computer programs that were being used for very crucial purposes. He claimed the IBM computer was required to help the government make some translations between some old legacy IBM systems and Unix. The problem was that the IBM 5100 could only perform this function because of some inbuilt features that it had, but were unfortunately not documented at the time of manufacture. This is a lesson for computer makers to always document their processes. Incredibly, after Titor returned to his proper timeline, some IBM engineers verified his claims about the IBM 5100 that seemed to be crucial to the survival of humanity years from now. The 5100 featured an interface between the assembly code surrounding the computer's ROM exterior and the 360 emulator hidden beneath it. So what was Titor doing in 2000? Titor had apparently had a successful journey to 1975 and had gotten his hands on the almighty IBM 5100. The year 2000 was perhaps not in his official mission, as it was merely a stopover to satisfy his personal curiosity. Titor said he was pausing his journey in 2000 to see for himself the effects of the notorious Millennium Bug. Apparently, the Y2K bug has taken on a mythical status and was legendary enough that Titor was willing to take a detour from his critical mission to observe it himself in real life.
A Calgary company hopes its new computer card will help fight the so-called Y2K problem.
In fact, Titor reportedly sent faxes to the Art Bell site in 1998, warning of the problem that the bug could cause. The problem never happened actually, but Titor maintained it was because of the preventive actions he took personally. But that was not all Titor was stopping by to see in the year 2000. The time hopper said he planned to visit his family and observe his younger self. That must have been more exciting than watching video recordings. How did Titor even journey back in time? It was no other than with the help of a time machine. No surprises there. Now, this is one of the aspects where Titor differed from other time travelers. Where others are secretive with the tech that brought them back or forward in time, we kind of hit the jackpot with Titor as he regaled us with detailed descriptions of what his time vehicle looked or looks like. He even graciously posted pictures of his time machine and scans of a technical manual that included the schematics of the machine. Titor said his vehicle was a C204 time distortion gravity displacement machine built by, guess who, General Electric in 1934. The invention weighed about 500 pounds and was embedded in a 1966 Chevrolet Corvette convertible. It is comforting that the people of 2036 still know what style is. So what people would see was a stylish Chevrolet Corvette going down the street, but not suspect it was a moving time machine. However, there is more intrigue concerning this car. Titor claimed the car did not move through space as some people would have imagined. It remained stationary with the engine even switched off. The time machine component was at a point extracted from the Corvette and then installed in a four-wheel drive truck. The Corvette has been sold off, and the internet had a wild time as people tried to guess where the convertible could be and who the new owner was. Here is Titor's description of the time machine. The device has 6 main components: 2 magnetic housing units for dual microsingularities, an electron injection manifold to alter mass and gravity microsingularities, a cooling and X-ray venting system, gravity sensors, or a variable gravity lock VGL, 4 main cesium clocks in 3 main computer units. Are you thinking of reverse engineering your time machine already? Then follow Titor's description of how to assemble these parts. The device is a temporal displacement unit. It is powered by 2 top-spin, dual positive singularities that produce what he called a standard offset Tipler sinusoid. If that is too technical for you, it means the unit is based on 2 rotating microsingularities that operate like a single ring singularity spinning at high speed. The mass and gravitational pull of this microsingularity was manipulated by injecting electrons onto its surface. This replicates the effects of a Kerr-Newman black hole, and it is how the machine is able to achieve time travel. It is not rocket science. Titor says he inputs coordinates to his time machine, and the thing enters into a ramp-up period. The sign of this is an alarm sound accompanied by a flashing light. This is then followed by a countdown that, depending on your perspective, may sound ominous, especially as a first-time traveler. Titor said he would then experience the pull of double the normal amount of gravity due to the machine, which would then appear to speed up. At this point, light would have started bending around the machine. Inside, Titor claims the only way to get oxygen is from compressed air supplied in canisters or the oxygen trapped in the vehicle. How fast does the time machine travel? It is difficult to comprehend, but Titor said it could go up to 10 years per hour. The only downside was the machine has an accuracy of up to 60 years, so there could be a bit of hit or miss in your final destination. But Titor was optimistic that the engineers of the future would improve on this aspect. Titor asserted that the many worlds theory, also known as the Everett-Wheeler model of quantum physics, had been demonstrated to be accurate and could explain the nature of time travel and what might be anticipated. In a nutshell, this means that every event that has multiple possible outcomes will produce every possible consequence, and that each possibility is the starting point for a new world line or parallel universe. According to Titor, this is relevant to time travel since it prevents the traveler from entering their own history because doing so will alter the world, resulting in an ever-widening set of boundaries. Rather than entering an infinite level of world lines, the time traveler reaches a world line that is closely related to it. Of course, this is a common theme in films about time travel, where you do not travel back to a time that you exist to prevent the universe from collapsing. But it would appear Titor ignored this risk by stopping to say hi to his younger self. Turns out that people of the future have not learned to follow instructions. During his stopover in the year 2000, with the precious IBM computer secured, Titor made many mind-blowing predictions about the future that have kept many people on edge. We will bring you all the details about these predictions in a short while. It is important to note here that since Titor came from the future, they were technically not predictions as he had lived through them. However, for folks stuck in the early 2000s, these were shocking prophecies. One of them was the balance of power in Asia, which is wildly different from what is obtainable today, and many people would find impossible to believe. According to Titor, as it rises to prominence as a worldwide force in 2036, South Korea will annex most of China, all of Vietnam, and Japan as a colony. Some people may say this is ridiculous. How will Korea grow to be such a strong nation? However, this is apparently not an idea that nobody has thought about. For example, Jim Rogers, one of the biggest investors in modern times, has been saying consistently that in the future, Korea will overtake and overshadow China, despite the massive difference in population. Rogers has been shouting this message for years now through his books, lectures, etc. He claims Korea will also leapfrog Japan and even Germany, but that is not the end for Japan. According to Rogers, Japan will become a country with a failing economy, with the government going bankrupt and losing the ability to function as government. He said the country will become a den of criminals that can act with impunity as there is nobody to check them. Rogers is even advising people to get out of Japan when they still can, or get a gun to protect themselves. He is even setting an example by selling all his assets in Japan, including stocks and real estate. In contrast, the fortunes of South Korea will see a huge boost, and it will become a world power that can rival the US. In this scenario, Korea will have no trouble absorbing Japan, according to Titor. This also aligns with predictions by Goldman Sachs of Wall Street. The company claims South Korea will become a G2 country very soon. The rest of Titor's predictions are even scarier. Titor predicted a global nuclear war, which he called a world war, in which nuclear powers will go at one another. He claimed about 3 billion people would perish in the war, and there would be a lot of damage to the planet. As a result of the conflict, the geopolitical world order will be shaken, with national borders being redrawn, and new political players will emerge. Titor claims among the most affected by the global turmoil is the US. Titor has terrible news for his home country, where a civil war will break out. He said the war will start as a Waco-type event that will then snowball as the months pass. The increasing unrest and division will swallow up place after place in the US, including urban and rural areas. This will then escalate into a full-blown war. But this internal conflict will only serve as a precursor to the larger global conflict. According to Titor, the US will be sectioned into 5 different state actors along the lines of ideology and military prowess. But that would only be setting a worldwide template, as other nations will suffer the same fate, if not worse. National governments will struggle to maintain their control over their subjects. And even more damning was Titor's prediction that America would wage war on Iraq, under the pretext that the Middle East country was harboring nuclear weapons. This was actually years before the US invaded Iraq. He also added that the US would not find a single weapon of mass destruction, which, needless to say, happened. Titor also predicted war between Israel and the surrounding Arab countries. The sad twist was the war would see nuclear weapons being used. Titor also foresaw CERN setting the stage for time travel. It didn't take long for the European scientific body to announce it was possible to create an artificial black hole. Perhaps the foundation work done by CERN would contribute to the time machine that catapulted Titor back into the past on his quest for the IBM machine. Titor also said there would be a breakout of mad cow disease in the US, but it would be downplayed by the authorities. And there will be a massive explosion in the production of genetically modified food, which will have serious negative effects on the health of the general populace.
Mad cow disease in this country. Today, the Department of Agriculture confirmed a new case of mad cow in California.
Since Titor has been there, what does 2036 look like? How are our future selves making out? Titor's descriptions of 2036 were vivid and anything but reassuring. According to the man from the future, by that year, the general human society had experienced collapse and regeneration. The human race has terrifyingly had to adapt by making drastic changes to the environment. He claimed technology has become so commonplace that it is more or less utilitarian. What is day-to-day like? Titor was generous in detailing that as well. He said daily living was based around a massive dependence on agriculture, basically a back-to-the-roots scenario playing out. We are back to whole communities focusing heavily on growing food and other farming activities. In fact, agriculture is beyond economics and has become the mainstay of the social structure. Titor claimed communities have become self-sufficient again by growing all their crops and raising all the farm animals needed to supply the nutrients that they need. This is made possible by a renewed appreciation of land resources and the embracing of sustainable practices. Of course, Titor never claimed technology is not present in 2036. It is utilized practically and sustainably. He mentioned that we get our energy mainly from solar and wind sources. He also claimed people have been able to rediscover older techniques and harmonize them with much more advanced tech for a balanced way of life. Recall his whole mission back in time was or is to retrieve an old tech and integrate it into new tech. Titor claimed the people of 2036 pursue and use technology not for the luxury, but for the functionality. They simply want to power the essential services that support their survival and general welfare. The transportation sector of 2036 is vastly different from the one Titor witnessed in 2000. Instead of the emission-producing internal combustion engine-propelling vehicles, Titor reported that much of the transportation needs of the future will be met by electric vehicles and other forms of vehicles powered by biofuels. And this is for a practical reason. Fossil fuel has become scarce by 2036. Meanwhile, these electric vehicles are anything but luxurious. They are designed to meet the unique needs of the time. Curiously, Titor said, the vehicles are designed to travel over rough terrains and to cope with harsher environments. Between 2000 and 2036, what has changed on the planet to warrant designing everyday cars like they are required for warfare? Another curious thing about transportation in 2036 is that people do not do much of long-distance travel. People will rather remain within their local areas. Bad news for the tourism industry. But he notes this unexpected behavior results in closely knit communities and a significant reduction in our carbon footprint. A win in some ways. Healthcare is not looking bright either. Titor claimed it has evolved to what is needed, but humans generally have limited access to advanced healthcare facilities. This has resulted in people combining old home remedies with advanced medical practices that they have access to. And healthcare services have become decentralized, meaning at some point, big pharma will cease to be a thing, and there will be no international corporations raking in billions of dollars from sick people. With this trend, Titor claimed preventive medicine and general wellness are the order of the day. You will try to avoid getting sick by focusing on good diets and healthy lifestyles, because who wants the hassle of seeking medical attention? Similarly, education has changed from what we know it to be today. It has also become less centralized and more hands-on. There are no large institutions, and electronic resources are devoted to ensuring our survival. This means education has reverted to the traditional mentorship-based style of delivery. Your children will learn skills that are practical and relevant to the environment of the time. Skills related to agriculture, mechanical repairs, sustainability, etc. Education uses the community approach, with the whole family and community involved in teaching the younger ones. What about the government? Keeping with the winds of decentralization that have blown over the whole of humanity, governments have devolved and local authorities have precedence over central governments. There is still politics as communities are governed by councils and assemblies, but with a crucial difference. Since they are closer to the people, the authorities are more accountable to the citizens. The decisions they make have much more impact on the people, hence the added scrutiny on them. Perhaps you are considering a career in politics. You have a hint on where you focus your energy to better your chances. This is not to say we have forgotten how to have fun as a human race. In fact, Titor has witnessed a resurgence of culture through, you may not believe it, art, music, and literature. People of the future still hold festivals and community gatherings. Another popular claim of time travel is the enigmatic case of Rudolph Fentz. This story takes us to the bustling New York City on a summer evening. The city-goers were going about their business with hardly any thought to time traveling. A strange man would appear suddenly, looking particularly out of place. One of the most noticeable things about this man, Fentz, was his appearance. This man was clothed in the early 20th century style, complete with a frock coat, high-collared shirt, and spats, and he was looking completely lost in the city setting of New York. Passers-by quickly caught sight of him and gawked rudely, wondering where he had been blown in from. Fentz was soon approached by police officers who were also concerned about the sudden presence of the man. However, upon questioning, his replies created even more questions. deepening the mystery. It was then that Fence started to claim he came from the year 1876 and spoke of things long unused like horse-drawn carriages, gas-powered lamps, and other old technologies. Upon further question, Fence explained he had been strolling near Central Park before he found himself transported to the current time. Just how that happened, he couldn't explain. But he suddenly found himself in a bewilderingly unfamiliar environment. It was jarring to see imposing skyscrapers, automobiles speeding down the road, and people looking at him like he was a strange specimen. When the police dug into Fence's pockets, the contents confounded them even further. They found a copper token issued by a saloon that had long gone out of business, a receipt for the care of a horse and buggy, and the really confusing part, a letter addressed to a person named Rudolph Fence. All of these items clearly originated from the 19th century. When the authorities tried to locate Fence's family, who they hoped would be able to explain Fence's presence in New York, their inquiries led to a widow named Mrs. Rudolph Fence Jr. She confirmed she had a husband who simply vanished in 1876 and could not be traced ever since then. The letter in Fence's pocket matched the name of her husband. Further investigations revealed that Fence had not gone through the years between when he disappeared and reappeared. He had simply stepped out of the past and into the present. Many people who have heard about Fence have theorized that he had unwittingly stepped into a temporal rift, while others claim there was the involvement of extraterrestrials. Nobody has been able to explain the enigma of Fence, the man who stepped through time.